from one horse to another. If you're a horse racing fan, there is a lot to look forward to in the next few weeks. All the biggies, the Cox Plate, the Melbourne Cup, and tomorrow's Caulfield Cup. And this year, one of the favourites to take out Saturday's $5.3 million race is Kiwi horse The Chosen One.
Yeah, trained by Murray Baker and Andrew Forsman. Odds on it have been slashed from $100 to just $11.
OK, joining us to preview the Spring Carnival is Love Racing presenter Kate Gourdie. Kate, lovely to see you on Sky Sport News.
Good morning.
Thanks for your time. Now, it was a hard-fought win to get The Chosen One into a position like this. Can you just talk us through his journey to date?
So Murray Baker's always had a lot of faith in this horse. I think he took it over to Australia last year, but he didn't quite measure up. This is his third race of this preparation, and he had an incredible win in the Herbert Power Stakes a couple of weeks ago. Everything in racing is about timing, and everything just seems to be falling into place for this horse in particular.
So, in terms of what it means with this race, there's, excuse my pun, but a lot riding on it, isn't there? Because this Caulfield Cup, thank you, means that if they win, they could also qualify for the Melbourne Cup. Is that correct?
That's right, yeah. So the Caulfield Cup is one of the races that gives you automatic qualification into the Melbourne Cup. So if he should win tomorrow, then Murray Baker will have a runner in the Melbourne Cup.
And it's going to be ridden by a different jockey to, as you said, the previous race, Stephen Bates, I think it is, on this one? Basta, thank you.
Yeah.
What's the difference there in terms of a different jockey? How does that affect the race?
Yeah, so what happens at this time of the year is that everybody's sort of trying to get on and off the horses of preference and who they want to jump on. So Damien Lane, who rode the horse last week, has gone on to another horse. The Chosen One's only carrying 52 kilos in this race, so they needed someone who was very lightweight, and Stephen Basta is a lightweight jockey. He's ridden for Murray Baker before on a horse named John Snow, so there's no reason why it would count against the horse's chances in this race.
The win would be the second one for Murray because, of course, he had Mongolian Khan back in 2015. What is it that makes him such a good trainer? He's basically New Zealand's best trainer, isn't he? Yeah, they call him the Bart Cummings of New Zealand over in Australia. He's won more prize money in Australia than any other New Zealand trainer. He's won more Group 1 races in Australia and New Zealand than any other New Zealand trainer. He is an absolute legend, and nobody loves going over there and taking the prize money off the Aussies more than Murray does. He's been training in conjunction with Andrew Forsman since 2012. Andrew is also an incredible trainer. They just seem to make it work. They know how to work it in the Aussie circuit, and at this time of the year, it's nothing better than to see them go over there and dominate the way that they do.
Am I right in saying that the big ones eluded him, though? And will this year be the year?
Yeah. Well, every year we're in a situation like this where he has a few chances. He had the Phantom, I believe, that ran second in the Melbourne Cup. But yeah, it's a really tough race to win these days. I mean, we have another trainer named Chris Waller. I'm sure you've heard of him. He was the trainer of Winx. He's won 4 Cox Plates. He hasn't won a Caulfield Cup, and he hasn't won a Melbourne Cup because they are really competitive races. Now, Chris also has 2 horses lining up in the Caulfield Cup tomorrow. He has Finch, which is also among the favourites, and that's being ridden by Michael Walker. OK, tell us more about that. And also, I think James McDonald has a runner or 2 in the field. So Michael Walker is absolutely ecstatic to get that ride on Finch. Getting a call from Chris Waller, who's essentially the best trainer in Australia now. Getting a call from him and asking him to ride one of the favourites in the Caulfield Cup is like a dream. James McDonald is not racing in Melbourne tomorrow. He's in Sydney for the Everest. And the reason why is because the Everest is worth 15 million Australian dollars. So that is a massive amount of money. So he's in Sydney, and that's why some of the other jockeys are getting their chances in the Caulfield Cup, which is worth $5 million.
Eye-watering.
How tight is that battle for jockey spots? Because it's hard to get Group 1 races, isn't it?
It is intense. It is intense, and what is amazing for New Zealand is that right at the top of that tree is James McDonald. He is 27 years old, and no one is doing better in terms of racing over there at the moment. He is absolutely flying, and I would say he'll be on one of the favourites in the Melbourne Cup as well.
Yeah, Melbourne Cup, the race that stops a nation, or the race that stops a couple of nations, because we do take a massive interest in this. Who should we be looking out for there?
Oh, it's too early.
Is it too early?
It's too early. There is an awful lot of racing to go on between now and then, and there are, we've got some chances. So there's a horse by the name of Surprise Baby. Now, Surprise Baby was bred by the same people who bred the 2015 winner of the Melbourne Cup, Prince of Penzance. They're a group called Rich Hill Stud. Well, that horse was actually passed in, so it didn't sell at the New Zealand yearling sales, and then it was passed in at another sale. And in the end, the owners in Australia bought it for $5,000 on an online auction house. And
wow.
So that horse won a race a couple of weeks ago that gave it automatic qualification for the Melbourne Cup.
Incredible.
And that's the horse that Michelle Payne is picking.
I was just going to say, she did say that to me.
Yeah.
So,
Right, so that's the tip. That's the one I should be writing down and not telling too many people about.
Yeah, don't tell too many people.
That's too late. We've gone and blown it. So that's your pick?
Yeah, well, I always bet with my heart. I always pick with my heart, and I always back the Kiwis. So whether or not that's the right strategy, that's what I always go with.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah. Kate Gourdie, thanks so much for your time this morning on Sky Sport News. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Cheers for that.